I actually have an email in my LinkedIn inbox right now from a young woman that heard us for the first time over the weekend.
Yeah.
And she heard about our mixer coming up where we donate the proceeds to RedM. And she literally is like, I can't believe that you're doing something so noble. And I felt weird about it because we're not doing anything noble. We're just trying to help fund the cause.
Hello and welcome to The Movement, a podcast for resourcing, empowering, and developing leaders in the fight against human trafficking. And we have a special guest today, Mark LaCour.
Thank you. I'm not sure if I'm special, but I do appreciate being here.
Don't worry, everyone's a special guest. We're all special in our own way.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation. We've known each other for a long time.
A few days.
Yeah. And we've been involved in helping you support RedM for a long time as well.
In fact, you guys started us as a 501c3. I don't know if I ever said that to you.
Didn't know that.
But you gave us money.
Yeah,
and
yes,
you wanted us to have the money.
Yeah, and we're still trying to give you money. We still want you to have the money.
Yeah.
It's grown so much bigger since you first started.
Yeah.
So many people are involved now. And it used to be just like a small group in the local Houston business area.
Yeah.
Now you're all over the country, all over the world.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing. Well, tell me a bit about yourself. Let's start on the Mark LaCour.
I've been in the oil and gas industry for over 25 years, which used to sound like a lot, and now it's now I'm being one of the old gray hairs, right?
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Yeah. Love this industry, passion of mine. I think it's the most important industry in the world to mankind. Yeah. And somewhere around 2011 or so, we started a podcast. And what I didn't know is we were the first oil and gas podcast in the world.
Yeah.
And 3 months into it, a company reached out to me and said, hey, we want to sponsor it. And David, I almost said why.
Yeah.
But the old sales guy in me kicked in and said,
sure, I'll take your money.
Yeah, let's see what we can turn this into. And you fast forward to now, speaking of RedM, and we've grown tremendously. By the end of this month, we're recording this in May, we'll be at almost 30 separate podcasts focused on oil and gas space. And our audiences enjoy what we do. It's education, it's storytelling. But at the same time, they feel like they're part of a community. And that's the community that we tap into to be able to donate money to RedM.
Mm-hmm.
And so then our community, I actually have an email in my LinkedIn inbox right now from a young woman that heard us for the first time over the weekend.
Yeah.
And she heard about our mixer coming up where we donate the proceeds to RedM. And she literally is like, I can't believe that you're doing something so noble. And I felt weird about it because we're not doing anything noble. We're just trying to help fund the cause.
Yeah.
And you fast forward to now and things are great. Huge network. We're growing like crazy. And RedM is one of the several charities we support.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing here is to be able to help these young women and young men get out of sex trafficking. Let's not mince words, right? And it's a big deal.
So tell me a bit about the OGGN part. When you started that, what were you thinking? Did you just think this would be fun?
No, just the opposite. I thought it was the stupidest idea I ever heard.
Okay.
So I'm going to give a big shout out to James Hahn, who was my marketing guy at the time, who brought me the idea for the first podcast.
Yeah.
And when he brought it to me, it was to promote my original business, Modal Point, a market research company focused on oil and gas space. And I looked at him, David, and I said, that's the stupidest thing that's ever come out of your mouth. Nobody listens to podcasts.
Yeah.
In my defense, at that time period, nobody was listening to podcasts.
Right.
But like I said, when the first company reached out to me and said, we want to sponsor it, to me, that meant there was value there and a commercial opportunity. Right?
Yeah.
And it took us about 5 years to figure out how to scale that commercial opportunity. And I've made every single mistake you can make in the podcasting world, probably wasting thousands of dollars, but eventually we figured out how to scale it.
Yeah.
And now we're almost at 30 people.
Yeah.
I have people all over the world as well. We're launching our first mixer in London. We were talking about London before we turned the mics on.
Yeah.
So we're actually growing internationally in live events as well.
Yeah.
And then all of that is going to help local charities for people that has a need. In our corporate culture, we feel like giving back is something that should be part of the business, not an extra note.
Yeah.
And so it's woven into everything we do, and the whole team believes in it.
It was just you and just you?
It was just me and
originally?
a couple of people in the very
Couple of
beginning.
people?
Then we picked up Paige Wilson as a volunteer project manager, which basically means she worked for free, right,
Yeah.
for years.
Yeah.
And then we found other like-minded people. Trying to hire for a podcasting network as niched as an oil and gas network is hard. You can't go find somebody who has that experience.
Right.
So you have to find people that have the right skill sets. And then for me, the biggest thing is that they fit our culture. So I hire for culture and ability to train. Now that we're much bigger than this, we have a little bit of a apprenticeship model with our editors and stuff, where we have senior editors and we bring in younger editors and we divvy up the work and we make sure that the quality is there and everything else. And now we're a real company. I made a joke the other day, but I sent somebody a link and it expired. It's like, why the hell did it expire? It's like, well, it's our IT policy. And it's like, it's my company. When do we get IT policy? Something that when you deal with big companies is normal, but from being at my baby to get to the point where we now have IT policy is it's a little disconcerting a little bit, but it's just the signs of growth.
Yeah, I remember the day I was adding someone, I can't remember to what, either board or advisory board, and someone said, you can't just do that. And they said, because there's a policy. And I was like, well, okay. So it is funny because you're like, okay, because you want that, you want structure, you need it, you need things to happen that way. But yeah, it's an interesting.
But there's a balance though. So one of the things I'm very aware of is I'm starting to lose touch with my frontline people, not in a bad way, right? The company's just grown and there's more people and items going on between me and the frontline people.
Yeah.
The other day I saw something on LinkedIn. I go, that was really cool. And then I realized it was us. David, it used to be I was the guy that was uploading our marketing stuff to LinkedIn and designing it and everything else. So I'm a little worried about culture as we grow. Can we keep that small company culture and still have the reach of a medium-sized business? And I don't know yet.
Yeah.
But it's important and we're going to try.
Yeah, I think that carrying culture, people miss that aspect in growth. I think people will start to become something they didn't know they were becoming. They'll even speak the old culture.
Yeah.
And it's not there. So yeah, that is a challenge. Yeah. We have a lot of listeners in this space who are, either learning more about trafficking and others who are already in the space. And that's why I wanted to ask you some questions on growth and business and going from small to big and generating money. What's been the hardest part of the growing and managing? Now you got to pay these wages.
Fingers crossed, paying the wages. I mean, we've had lean times before. I've had to pay my people my personal credit card. Like a lot of founders have those type of stories.
Yeah.
But we relatively soon got out of that space. A couple of challenges. We get offered investor money a lot. And sometimes I wonder, should we? Because it would scale our growth tremendously.
Yeah. And what's the downside of it?
You end up working for somebody else, quite frankly. Investors don't like to hear that, but at some point you're working for somebody else.
They're going to control what you're doing. Back to a culture issue. They may say, forget the culture.
Right, and they'll have growth goals, and I know that up front. That's the payment for the cash that they influx into your company. So far, we haven't decided to do it. We haven't decided we bootstrapped everything, which slows our growth. This year has been very interesting. I didn't see this coming. I'm usually pretty good at predicting stuff a year or so ahead of time, but just the change in our presidential administration has caused companies that want to market to the oil and gas industry to open up their budgets more. They feel safer doing it, right? Now, you and I both know that you can say drill, baby, drill all you want, and it doesn't change the market dynamics. Right now, we're still in a relatively low crude price environment.
Sure.
But what people don't realize is that our industry is booming on the downstream side, petrochemicals and everything, because their raw feedstock's been cut. A lot of people just don't understand how all that works together. But bringing it back to what we're doing, we're crazy growth this year. By the end of this month, we will have launched 7 new podcasts. We normally launch 2 a year. So we've done 3 years worth of work in 6 months, the first 6 months of this year. Growth, crazy growth. And it's all good. But managing that growth is actually sometimes as much a struggle as managing through the lean times, right? How do you make sure that your margins stay the same? How do you make sure you make the right hires? I have a really bad habit of hiring people I like, which used to work when we were small, but it doesn't work now.
Well, and with someone you like, you can help them grow.
Right.
Which is probably what was happening. Is you had people near you, you go, oh yeah, don't do that. I like you, but hear this,
Right.
And now someone else is overseeing that.
Yeah, and we have to have some type of structure. It can't be willy-nilly. So now we're getting to the point where we're just now starting to have layers of management. And to watch all that grow, number one, makes me proud. Number two, it scares me a little bit. Where is this going to go? I mean, I try to take care of myself, but I'm not going to be here for another 100 years, right? And then somewhere down the road, I won't be.
You're already in the founder brain of transition,
and leaving a legacy. What do I want people to think about, and where do I want this thing to go? I don't know that yet. I'm kind of hoping a little bit. I never kind of figure out where I want this thing to go, right? Because that kind of eyes wide open child mentality, live in the moment, is that growth.
That's the hard thing. When do you start that process? When do you start hiring? Do you hire to replace, or does someone? Do you have a board? I assume you have a board.
Do not have a board.
Okay.
I've had a couple of people I've hired that I brought in that I wanted to give some equity in the company, and knock on wood, so far they've left. Now that sounds like a bad thing. It's actually good. I fully support them. They went on to bigger, better things. What they learned from us allowed them to take their career in a place that they wanted to go, which in that moment wasn't where we were going to go. It's still my company. I own 100% of it. I don't have a board. In some ways, I like that because if I decide to buy uniforms for somebody's Little League team, I just can't. I don't have to answer to anybody. But when I look at the company's growth long-term wise, at some point, we will need a board of advisors. We will have shares, equity, stake, and all that stuff. So we'll see. I'll let you know when I get there what happens.
In the ongoing growth, I like this. I like this story, as well as you're right in the middle of it. What's bothering you right now? What's like you know what I really need, or do you even know what you need and you're just like going and blowing?
I don't want to get too deep into tactical stuff on the show, but we've built one studio here. We're actually building one in Midland. And if you don't know Midland, Texas, it's not the place you would think you would build a video studio. And I'm being pulled into video whether I want to or not. And this is because of Google spending a lot of resources making YouTube the podcast player of choice. And the reason I don't like this is now I have an outside entity that has enough influence in the market that it's changing our behavior. Now, and I could say no, but the business says we have to go there. Of our new podcasts that we're launching, the first 5 are video first. We've never done that before.
Have I mentioned RedM Midland?
No, but I see it, and I tell you what, David, we'll have a venue there.
They're very fast. The Midland team, similar to Calgary, just picked up and ran.
I love it. I'm not on the inner circle of RedM, but I'm also not on the outside. I'm in the middle, right?
Yeah.
And so it looks in the middle like there is no leadership, that you have different people that just take charge and go, you know what, let's do this. Let's raise revenue here. Let's open office here. And you're smart enough to kind of back off and let them run with it.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so that's what's like the Midland's a perfect example. I didn't realize Calgary was as successful as well.
Similar towns, I think, caused that same heart and desire and time on your hands. And like they're around, they're in each other's lives. So yeah, picking up something like that, it went fast.
But it goes back to something I've always believed. There's a lot of bad things that happen in our world. I've seen them. I've helped stop some of them in my life. I did 4 years in the Marine Corps. However, I think at the core, most people are good people.
Yeah.
Right. And so this is a perfect example of how you found some good people and you let them run with it, and they're doing good things.
It's a huge risk. I mean, it is funny because you have to try and remotely, guide into the right crowd, because everyone wants to help, but there's not always good people, right? So we have to work out and filter, and it's sometimes a bit of an HR job, to work out who's where, how's it going.
And also intent, though. So a lot of people, I run this all the time, a lot of people want to help. They say they want to help, and in that moment, they believe it.
That's right.
But then the real life gets in the way, and they can't help as much as they want, or sometimes they can't help at all, even though they want it to, right? So that's another thing, is you're able to find the people that not only have the right intention and their heart's in the right place, but actually can donate some time and get some work done.
There's a core of my creative self, which I'm very creative, where I'm very much a seed thrower, if that makes sense. And you're just saying, okay, let's see if it grows or not. And if it doesn't, it's okay. So I think for us in the whole movement, what we've been learning is that it's okay if it doesn't work. It's okay if we can't make money. It's okay if it runs late. We've never not made money doing anything. But I mean, if we're going to lose money, stop.
Right.
Move it until you can make money. Get more sponsors, find another way. That is critical for us because we're dealing with professionals who have day jobs and have families. And so we have to be loose, and we have to have a lot of people. And so, yeah, the Midland is unique, and some of it is culture. Because there's a natural behavior that they're just jumping in to be a part of things, and that helps us. And we find cities are harder. Cities are harder because people don't connect as much. So that's an interesting kind of dynamic we've had to learn. So what drove you to Midland? It's the business, I guess.
Well,
so,
the Midland is the heart of the Permian, right? Which is depending on who you talk to, one of the biggest oil reserves in the world.
Yeah.
The business there is booming. The business is different there. Everything from the trying to bring the supplies into all the hotels to house all these workers, to the mix of workers that are there. You have people from all over the world coming to Midland to work in the oil field. To the fun. I mean, it really is. It's a small town that is economically at times booming. There's probably more millionaires in that Midland, Odessa area at certain times of year than probably anywhere in the U.S. At the same time, they're salt of the earth people. And I love the Permian. I love the oil and gas reserves that are there. I love the science and the technology that we've developed to actually access those minerals. And I love the people there. And once again, it's just a different part of the industry than you've ever seen.
And then London surprised me a little bit. So what's driving you there?
Listeners. So
really?
If you would heat map the world, we have listeners. We have listeners in all 205 countries on the planet. This is something relatively new for us in the last year. We had one South African country with no listeners, and I would sincerely go pay somebody to listen to me there. So I can honestly say that we own the world.
That's
and
funny.
About 6 months ago, we picked up 70 listeners in this little bitty South African country. And so we have listeners in all 205 countries. And so these local events that we talk about now that we donate money to RedM, we try to do them where we have a cluster of listeners. And we have a huge cluster of listeners in London. And then the local SPE chapter reached out and said, we want you to come do a mixer here.
Nice.
I connect her with Amanda, our event person. And to your point, they just ran with it.
Well, count us in because we got London people. We got all sorts.
Yeah,
all over.
you're in.
So,
Done.
Yeah, and all of your
can't get away from
events.
you. I traveled another continent, can't get away from you. Not a bad thing.
We were talking in another podcast about, we're in Paris and Amsterdam and Rotterdam, London, Aberdeen. What happens for us is wherever we are, or wherever we go, you have to, I think that human connection, we've got an ad campaign that's going to put us in every city, but before that, it's all about who we know and how we connect. So there's natural connections. And I think since we began RedM, people have asked, can it be in my city? And I've always said yes, until a year ago when someone called me on it and said, well, it didn't happen. I think it was Austin. They were like, you said yes, but not, well, okay, then let's do it. And we gathered 60 people said yes. I think we got 40-ish in the room. And RedM Austin started, and easy for us. We all drove out there on a weekend and did a Sunday afternoon. They're like, we don't want to do Sundays. Do whatever you want. Like we just could get here on a Sunday. So
right.
That's really fun that you're growing, we're growing. I mean, you're huge. I would say from listener standpoint, you've got a massive following, but we're catching up.
It's crazy. Well, I hope you catch up. I look at every other podcaster as family, right? Cousins, second cousin, third cousins. I wish when I started I had somebody to help me. Yeah. That's why I made all the mistakes. There literally was nobody else was doing it. And we made, like I said, every mistake in the world. But I think the podcasting community, whether you're podcasting on true crime or energy or fly fishing in Wyoming, right? Or whatever, you're a creator. And there's a certain set of personality traits that makes a good creator. You're inquisitive. That never stops. You like to share. You don't keep everything close to your vest. You want to share what you know. And you like to have fun. And I think people that have those personality traits are just cool to hang out with.
Yeah.
And so every other podcast in the world is some relationship with us. I see none of them as competition.
Yeah.
And I try to help all of them.
That's great. Well, Mark, that wraps up our time. So you've been cool to be with as well. So appreciate it. Thank you for coming in.
I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. And we'll see you next time.